Bill Gates does not like to have to answer questions about Jeffrey Epstein anymore. Watch this.
Now, one of the issues that's dogged you is that of your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you regret the relationship that you maintained with him against Melinda's advice and wishes?
Oh, I've said that you're going way back in time. But yeah,
new audience.
I will say for the, over 100th time, yeah, I shouldn't have had dinners with him.
Epstein had a way of sexually compromising people. Is that what Melinda was warning you about?
No. I mean, no, I had dinner with him, and that's all.
And that you regret the relationship, the acquaintance?
That I had dinner with him.
Mm. And the relationship between the foundation and Epstein, which
there never was any relationship of any kind.
Oh.
No, I only regret dinner. I don't regret going to the island. You kidding? That was great. I regret dinner, specifically dinner.
Yeah, I just didn't like what he was serving. I'm a vegetarian, right. So, you can see this svelte body. That's I'm a vegetarian. So I didn't like what he was serving on the island. I just didn't like the dinner. All the sexual, the sexcapades was fine. Bill Clinton and all.
Yeah, he's basically saying
fine.
I just didn't like anything we did in public. Everything we did in private, perfectly fine. Whatever we did in public, the dinners, the galas and stuff. Yeah, should have never done that.
I just didn't like that the soup was a little cold.
I didn't like that people got pictures of us together. Like that's what shouldn't have happened. There should have been no evidence of us hanging out together in public. In private was fine.
After dinner was fine. Like when we had our after dinner drinks, he and I would retire to the library, and then we'd have some scotch and cigars, and that was fine. But the dinner, my steak was like overly cooked, and I wasn't really into that.
Why would you focus on that? Like that's just like he's specifically saying, yeah, no, I shouldn't have had the dinners. Like, why aren't you saying any of it? Like I should have never even talked to the guy. I should have never,
And I'm also, I guess I'm not a billionaire, so I don't know how billionaires actually operate. But I'm calling bullshit on the fact that like he's claiming that we just had dinner. Like he's flying around the country like 30 some times just to have dinner with somebody that he barely knows. Oh, yeah. Like I wouldn't even like. David can barely get me to come over for like steaks, and I live 30 minutes.
You probably haven't even been to my house 35 times since I've lived here.
Right. But he's going. I don't think I have. But he's going to Pedophile Island 36 times. He went to Jeffrey Epstein's island 36 times.
I did a poll on the channel, and I asked, if you have been to Epstein Island 36 times, do you think it's possible to not know what's going on there? And it was overwhelmingly no. At 36 times, you freaking know.
Yeah, and the reason you're going back is because you know what's going on there. Like,
exactly.
I just got back, but you know what? I really have a hankering to go back to that Epstein Island again. I had a great time.
Yeah, I got a cramp in my calf. I got to go get massaged.
Yeah, I got
from those on my neck. Obviously of-age girls.
So again, his weird sexcapades to Epstein Island led to his divorce from Melinda Gates. Melinda Gates said that she realized their marriage wasn't healthy and couldn't trust him anymore. She said Epstein was evil personified the very first time she met him. She met him, and one time she knew that he was evil personified. And yet, and she related this to Bill. And Bill continued to go and fly down to Epstein Island. Watch this uncomfortable interview.
It was also widely reported that Bill had a friendship or business or some kind of contact with Jeffrey Epstein, and that you were not, that was very upsetting to you. Did that play a role in the divorce at all in this process?
Yeah, as I said, it's not one thing. It was many things. But I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you made that clear to him?
I made that clear to him. I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time.
Did you?
Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for those young women. It's awful.
You felt that the moment you walked in? I didn't realize
was awful.
That. Yeah. And you shared that with Bill, and he still continued to spend time with him?
Any of the questions remaining about what Bill's relationship there was, those are for Bill to answer.
Okay.
But I made it very clear how I felt about him.
PBS, we know is part of the intelligence state, and Redacted has a story coming out on this specifically, which we will deep dive and talk about PBS and the relationship to the deep intelligence state in the United States. So PBS is part of the problem. They are part of the deep state. But Judy Woodruff works at PBS. I've always liked Judy Woodruff. I thought she's a straight shooter from what I know of her. To her credit, she asked this very tough question of Bill Gates last year, and it didn't go well. Watch.
It was reported at that time that you had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. Not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. Those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. That goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
It was reported that you continued to meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background?
Well, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so in general, you always have to be careful. And I'm very proud of what we've done in philanthropy. Very proud of the work of the foundation. That's what I get up every day and focus on.
But he's dead. He's dead. So that's the lesson.
He's dead, and I'm over here dying.
I'm in my own Microsoft office, and I'm rubbing my hands. She asked about Bill, like he's rubbing where his wedding ring used to be on his hand. He's like, oh, it's not there anymore. I wonder what.
Well, and watch him do other interviews. He doesn't squirm like that.
No, he doesn't squirm at all. He just
is
sits
kind
there.
of awkward, but he just sits there and answers the question. He was definitely uncomfortable with that line of questioning.
Oh, absolutely uncomfortable and squirming. And I'm just upset about the dinners, right? That's again, I'm upset about the dinners.
The dinners and promises of lots of money.
And he's like, I cut it off. I cut it off. I cut off the relationship. Right. When? After eventually. How many years? He had already been arrested for going back years and had his record, expunged and taken away. So when did you know this? And 36 times? But then I ended the relationship. Like,
it's such a coached, like you can tell there's a lawyer behind the scenes somewhere that's coached that answer, because when he's like, yeah, I had dinner with him, I regretted it. She asked another question and he just like pauses and he's like, I regret the dinners. It's like, I only have one answer that I don't care if it fits the question. That's the only answer I have. I regret the dinners. Yeah. So that's his one answer.
The dinners.
That's like a serial killer stopping. I stopped at 36. I did it, but I regret having the dinners with the ladies before I killed them.
Right. So don't ask these questions. I mean, it's unbelievable that we get like these journalists who like slip through the cracks on this, because they're vetted ahead of time. Like, he's not sitting down to do these interviews if he thinks that like this person is going to ask a tough question, on anything related to Jeffrey Epstein. So shut up. Don't ask any questions. I refer you to watch my full interview with Whitney Webb that we did before Christmas time, where we deep dive her new book, of course, on Jeffrey Epstein, the deep state connections, and what she uncovers is unbelievable. unbelievable. So I encourage you to watch our full interview with Whitney Webb, journalist, investigative journalist, really eye-opening as well. So that's going to do it for Redacted on this Tuesday. Please subscribe to the old channel. Don't forget, we do have a daily newsletter. If you go to redacted.inc, that's the place to go. You can get that newsletter first thing in the morning delivered to your inbox. We'll have a great newsletter for your first thing in the morning. Natali should be back next week. She's again traveling with her sister, doing a little family trip out to California. So she's on a totally different time zone right now. And
she's in our time zone right now.
Yeah, she's in your time zone, which is kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. So
I wish I was closer. I'd go say hi.
Yeah, I think she's like island hopping right now, like California to Idaho, and back to California, and then out of there. And so anyway, so she will be back next week. So anyway, but she's still writing the newsletter every morning. So she's still a trooper on that. So check that out.